Alright, how's it going, everybody? I apologize for those of you that were waiting for the 8 o'clock start. The full blame is on me. Just trying to go live through Zoom, and it didn't work out. Basically, I tried to go Facebook Live through Zoom, and it was just not working out for us too well. But with that said, we are live, and we are ready to roll. This is Muhammad Thabet here on MotivateMe313. I got Bassam Gobah in the building. We also got Motizel in the building. And then we also have Shayma Ghaleb in the building as well, aka Shay Strong. I think she's doing the Shay Strong move right there. Happy to have you guys. Hopefully Aisha the Cuzzo could be in the building as well. Hopefully so. I don't know why Yusuf, my brother, was calling me. Hopefully it's nothing. You could go ahead and oh, okay, I see what Yusuf's telling me. I see what you're saying right now, Yusuf. Okay. But anyways, welcome guys. How's everybody doing today? Everybody good?
Are you streaming on Instagram or no?
Yeah, that's what he was. That's exactly what he was telling me. He was telling me that I was on the Fantasy Guys Instagram. So I appreciate you, little bro Yusuf, looking out for us. But yeah, now we are on. But Shayma, you want to say what?
It's like 6 months. I don't like 6 months.
I know. I wanted to talk about Fantasy Guys. Shayma actually says she has some Fantasy Guys input as well. So
Yeah, I'm on y'all's league. All right.
all right.
Next fantasy, I'm recruiting myself. Recruiting myself next fantasy.
BG, what's going on? Are you ready for that, BG, or what?
I mean, she might do a lot better than some of the guys, so
Don't
we'll take the competition.
don't call him out, BG.
I'm not gonna name no names.
Well, we are here, we are live, and we are going to have a very, very interesting discussion today. I'm looking forward to it. Sorry again for those that are coming on, for me coming on about 10 minutes later than usual, because like I said, I was trying to get Zoom going through Facebook, but it didn't work out, so we are going to just stick with what we got here. Ziad Hadi already chimed in saying that she'll do better than Tony, so he said the names, not me. Alright, I did not say the name. That's Ziad Hadi, by the way, chime in and shout out to Ziad. But with that said, we can get the ball rolling. People are here to hear some of these conversations, and they want to know what our thoughts are on some specific things. So let's get it going, and hopefully, like I said, we can get Aisha on here as soon as she probably gets the notification or the messages that we are live. But with that said, if y'all guys are ready to go, I'm ready to roll. And I'm going to ask this question to Shayma, and I'm going to let you answer this first question. Yeah, I'm going to go straight into it. So, first question to Shayma. By the way, our topic today is about acceptance and hardships. We thought that it would be a great topic to discuss, you know, with everything that's going on in everybody's community. We felt like it's very important to have these kind of conversations because I mean, it's just important topics. Like, we're going to talk about marriage, mental health issues, and school, work and school at the same time. So we're looking forward to that. So my first question is to Shayma, like I said. And the question is, do you feel that our communities accept and handle people's hardships the right way? So I'm going to you, Shayma.
From a person that suffered with not the usual hardships of life, I want to say absolutely not. I actually feel that my community does a good job of singling me out. So I don't feel like the community has any support, if you will, especially when it comes to flaunting or actually accepting the stuff that people not normally would accept. So, like in my situation, I advocate for health, but I have to use my health to do that. And everybody has told me, why? What are you doing? For what reason? You're going to make yourself look bad, this, that. And for a community, I would expect them to hold my hand during the hardship that I'm going through, not them to tell me not to tell my hardships to the rest of the world, basically.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Moti, you looking like you about to be ready to speak too. So Moti, I'm gonna ask you the same question. Do you feel? By the way, I said Moti. I don't know if I should call you Moti or Mobazi. Which one do you prefer right now, Moti? Which one are you going with, Moti? All right, he's going with
Mobazi.
Mobazi. All right, Mobazi.
Hey, cuz, you came to 14, 2014, cuz.
Do you feel that our communities accept and handle people's hardships the right way, Moti?
No, I don't. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, it was like okay for your dad to be hard on you. I mean, he was just teaching you a lesson. You know, my father taught me a lot of lessons. One of them, you know, we spoke on this on Saturday with BG and yourself. He used to always tell me "Dabbar nafsak." In Arabic, it means, you know, take care of it on your own. You know, and you know, now I won't tell my kids that because, you know, I don't want them to go through that. But, you know what I'm saying, taking stuff, you know what I'm saying, take care of stuff on your own when you're a teenager is hard. You know what I'm saying? You want that, you know, father figure, or you want that person that's older that been through the experiences you've been through to help you out and to get through it. So yeah, man, I think nowadays, I think when we became, you know, our generation, you know what I'm saying, became fathers, I think we're gonna change that, you know, and hopefully everybody, you know what I'm saying, goes in line with that, and we can make our culture, you know what I'm saying, a better representative.
All right, thank you, Moti. I appreciate that. And BG, same question goes to you. Do you feel that our communities accept and handle people's hardships the right way?
All right, can you do me a favor? Can you define hardships a little more?
So
Because-
the stuff that we're gonna basically talk about, like we said, marriage. You know, actually accepting people that our kids want to marry. Mental health issues. Kids that are working full time and going to school and pressuring them to do
Okay,
that.
so I got you. I mean, I think I agree with everybody else that no, but I believe it's a work in progress. I think as time has gone on, as our community has lived in the U.S. more, they've gotten better. You know, I think they've taught themselves and they've kind of tried to adapt as much as they could without leaving, you know, or getting away from their culture. But I believe that you know they're working and it's a work in progress. You know, but when it comes to other hardships, I think our community helps out a lot. You know, like for instance, if they see someone in need, our community is one of the first ones to jump in and help. So we can't just look at the bad and not see, you know, the other aspect of it. So maybe with the things that we're talking about today, they're still working on and they're not great at. But at other hardships, I believe our community is amazing.
So let me ask you this: how do you define a hardship?
That's why I attempt to define hardship. You know, because it could be a financial hardship, you know, a hardship where someone's going through a tough time, or it could be a lot of different hardships. So that's why I asked for a definition. But if we're solely talking about the issues that we're talking about today as hardships, then it's a work in progress.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to give some time to see if there was any more rebuttals that was going to happen. By the way, Abdullah Fa'i just asked, is Bassam in Yemen? He has no power. Is that because we can't see Bassam that well? But he's actually, he's driving right now. He could turn on the light for you. There you go. He just want to see you, BG. Everybody want to see you right now.
As long as he can hear me, that's all that matters.
Yeah, but he's driving right now, Abdullah Fa'i, so I just want to let you know that's the situation with that.
No, I'm not driving. I'm riding in a car. I don't want people to think I'm...
You're right. I'm sorry. He is in the car. Someone else is driving right now as he's in the car. So we're going to move on to the next question. And I like I said, Moti, did Big Sis reply back to you with any reply back with any comment about the situation? You know, feel free to let me know about what that situation is whenever you can.
Yeah. I wanted to just add on to the hardships. Like, don't get me wrong. You know, some hardships are, you know, the lessons learned, and I think everybody needs to go through that. You know, I didn't mean to say it in a bad way. That my dad told me "Dabbar nafsak," you know, meaning you know, handle it on your own. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I grew up faster, and I think in this society, you know, people need to grow up faster. You know what I'm saying? They need that edge in life, because if you are still relying on other people to take care of your needs, you won't make it in life.
I'm talking about. Thank you, Moti, by the way, for adding that. And I just wanted to know if the reply back for Aisha's situation, like, did they get back with you on that?
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
the response. Yeah, he went all that.
Man.
I was,
What up, man? Give me some airtime.
I know, my bad,
No. They text them, but they didn't respond.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we did our part. All right, so moving on to the next question, I'm gonna let BG answer this one since BG was the last one to answer on this one. So, Bassam Gobah, all right, what are your thoughts on families? So now we're gonna move on to the marriage aspect, and we already know, this is not just a Yemeni thing. It's a lot of Arabic cultures and even just Muslim cultures in general, I guess. What are your thoughts on families who don't allow their children to marry who they want to marry, Bassam? So go ahead. I'm going to let you start off with that. You got the question, BG.
All right. I mean, this is a tough one. The thing, like, I'm going to speak, just to full disclaimer, I'm going to be speaking my own opinion. I don't expect others, to feel the same way or to think that I'm, trashing people that think differently than I do. But the way I look at it, especially with something like marriage, and it's so controversial, I believe that as Muslims, if everybody, follow the Islamic way where, the parents, the child or the children, go about it Islamically, then I don't think we'd have the issues that we have today. I believe that most parents, they put culture ahead of religion when it comes to this aspect, and they don't follow Islamically to the T. They'll kind of pick and choose. Hey, you can do this, you can't do this because it's haram, but they'll go and do something and say, oh no, you can't do this, it's ayib. There's a difference between haram and ayib. But I believe if the children are following Islamically and they find someone that they're happy with, I think it can work out a lot better than them forcing them to marry someone that they believe is good for them. But also vice versa, the kids can't try to force someone upon their parents. Your parents are, at the end of the day, they're second to God, in the pecking order. So, and, they've lived longer than you. They know a lot more than you do. So, respecting them and their what they're advising you to do is also very important. So it's hand in hand. It can't be, my way or the highway, either way, whether it's from the child or from the parent.
Yeah.
So, that, I think it's, it must be a compromise that both, are happy with for it to work out.
Thank you for mentioning that. That's a very good answer. And Ibn Fa'i did bring up a good point because I did mention pretty much Arabic and Muslim people, because every culture and religion kind of probably deals with this, where people prefer them to marry within their culture and background rather than marrying outside of the race and religion. So thank you for clarifying that, Abdul Fa'i. I'm going to go Moti, and then I'm going to end with you, Shayma. So Moti, same question. What are your thoughts on families who don't allow their children to marry who they want to marry?
Well, times has changed, right, Ahmad? So, I don't believe in forced marriages. I don't believe in arranged marriages. I don't believe in that. I never did. But what I'm saying, I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna go back to my father, man. And my father used to tell me things when I was younger. He used to tell me everything, and then I used to be like, man, you don't know what you talk about, man. He told me about friends and life and everything. I used to be like, man, he don't know what he talking about. He's old. Every single thing he told me was right. BG BG had a lot of great points, but one in particular, he said, your parents lived longer and they know what's best for you. Not saying they get to choose who you marry, but they have, listen to their 2 cents about it, and then when people want, a man and woman to get married, within their culture, because it's easier. It's easier for both sides, because I'm gonna bring up like the Yemeni culture. A Yemeni girl knows, it's just easier. You know what I'm saying? And I disagree with it. I think people should get married to those, that they like, because marriage is for life. You know what I'm saying? It's not 1 or 2 years, you're going to be with this person for the rest of your life. So it's very important for the man and the woman to choose who they want, within the guidelines, of course, of Islam.
Shayma Ghaleb, I'm going to ask you the same question. By the way, I just want to put, before I say that, Conan Cafe just chimed in, said government name, because I called out BG by his government name, by the way. And then he also said that disclaimer was very long. And then we got a 1477 that said BG for president, by the way. I just want to throw that out there before we continue. We got a BG for president. So Shayma Ghaleb, what are your thoughts on families who don't allow children to marry who they want to marry?
Okay, so first I want to say that, and I love how both Muhammad and BG were mentioning the Islamic factor. With our community, we tend to cross this very thin threshold between Islamic and culture. Okay, so the biggest thing that Yemenian, or my culture, because that's what I am, I'm going to be speaking about me and mine, right? My culture, basically what they do is they carry this very, very strong high pride. Okay, pride is actually haram. So it's funny to me that that people that push so hard in one way move funny in the next way. But like I look at myself, and I know you guys have been mentioning like it's getting better and everything is like starting to make sense and we're starting to move forward and stuff. But I want to make this very, very clear. You guys are probably first generation, second generation at most. You're looking at a girl that's 4 generations in America. I'm what your kids are going to be. I'm what your grandkids are going to be. So when you guys are sitting here talking about how we're growing, we're not growing fast enough. I seen this 20 years ago. So what you guys are growing now, what you guys are seeing now should have been done. So I just love that. I just love how culture and religion gets so simultaneously mixed to the point where somebody doesn't even know what's right anymore. So there's a bunch of things that our culture does about marriage, and they go about it on a completely wrong basis. And I can just say a couple of them. Dowries, I think our dowries are ridiculous. I think our social classes are ridiculous. And I honestly think that like family, like what village you reside in matters more to people than if they suddenly or if they practice. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of pride that runs in with this cultural aspect of our life, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Does this,
let me.
yeah, I was gonna say if anybody wants to rebuttal, go ahead, BG.
I mean, I was gonna say like I believe that all three of us kind of said the same thing in different ways.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if you look at it, Islam is perfect. All right, we're not. So
right.
as people and as a culture, it's not. But if everybody did it the right way, it would be the Islamic way. And they don't. We all agree it's not. People put culture ahead of that. But that's how Yemeni are. They're very prideful, like you said. Which, like you said, pride is haram. But it's hard to change, generations of teachings in 10 years or 15 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, the reason why Shayma mentioned it's not moving fast enough. Well, Shayma, we've been living under, under our parents' household, so we're gonna learn what they teach us. You know what I'm saying? And then, we're here saying that we're growing up and we're learning a different way. You know what I'm saying? That we think is the right way. That might be different from our parents, so that's why we're saying we're gonna change. You know what I'm saying? It's not changing fast enough because on this particular topic, marriage, my kids are not old enough to get married, but when they do, I will make those decisions where I feel like it's the right thing for them.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead. Shayma, do you have something to say off that, or do you want to just let it go?
I understand where you guys are coming from, but at the same time, when your kids start moving different, and you can't. It's haram to raise your children the way you were raised. You can't do that because of times change all the time. And I look at my group, my class.
I'm sorry, but that's a strong statement to say it's haram to raise them the way that you were raised. Because if you were raised Islamically,
in the sense of pride, in the sense of pride, in the sense of
Right,
them not
okay.
being able to, you can't have what you want because my pride doesn't allow. That's her. That's her.
I
You know what I
mean,
mean? So,
like I said, as long as people follow it, you know, the Islamic way, it doesn't matter who you marry, as long as you go about it Islamically. That
then
should
you're,
be the number
then you're not
one.
practicing what
you
you're
know,
teaching. If you're saying one way, you should do it
do you mean?
Islamically, but then you're saying, oh, the culture allows us, like our culture's moving. So no, you have to pick one. Are you gonna stick on the Islamic perspective and try to grow on that level, or do you not? Because that doesn't make sense.
It does make sense. I mean, I'm talking about people in general. I'm not saying that they're right. What they're doing right now is correct. But, you know, as people moving on, just take it as a general rule when you decide, hey, you know what do I want for my kids? Or what should I do if I'm looking to get married? You know, instead of trying to fight with your parents, if they're trying to do something differently than what you feel, you know what? Teach yourself what your rights are as a Muslim. Sit down with your parents and talk to them and try to convince them. And I guarantee you, you know, they will be more receptive than you trying to say, no, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. You guys are full of, you know, crap. You're doing the culture thing. And 90% of the issues is always communication. Mm-hmm. If you sat down and communicated with your parents or the parents communicate with their children, I guarantee you we're going to have 90% of these issues.
Let's be clear too, by the way.
No, because no. See, here's the thing though. You're talking this nice hypothetical. I live the real life though. So that little thing that you just said, we've tried that multiple times. How many of my friends have wanted to marry somebody that they actually know, but the family has forced another man on top of them, and they sit down and they bring a sheikh, and they're trying their best to look at it from the Islamic perspective, but yet they can't get over their pride. They can't. So
Hold on. That right there, I'm 100% against that, because that right there, forcing someone upon a child is not Islamically permissible.
Right.
So we can't say that, you know, the parents are doing it Islamically. That's why I said both parents and kids need to follow the Islamic laws. We wouldn't have issues.
Let's be clear too. By the way, I don't disagree with everything culturally. You know, I think
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you know, some things I agree with and some things I don't. Let me tell you something, man. Like me going to Yemen, and I think every American-born kid needs to visit Yemen.
Yeah.
For the reason because when I visited Yemen, I'm not gonna lie to you, I learned a lot and I became more humble. You know, at this rate, what these kids are growing up nowadays, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't like the way, you know, all these kids are growing up. You know, you need that person. Like, you need some culture at home, other than, you know what I'm saying, religion. Of course, you need religion at home, but some culture at home to, you know what I'm saying, keep them balanced.
Yeah. The reason why I keep mentioning this fact that I'm generations in is because, alhamdulillah, and I love how you guys are saying there is growth, because there are. I look at my life and I look at my parents and how they raised us, and they only raised us through the Islamic perspective. There were some, obviously, I'm Yemeni, I love being Yemeni, I think my culture is absolutely beautiful, but there are things about our culture that they just keep you at camp level. So when I look at the growth and how we're developing, if I look at myself and I'm like, this is what me and my siblings are capable of, can you imagine what my kids or my kids can achieve? Because the growth is growing on a level that there is a lot of growth, but we don't have enough people trying to continue that growth. There's not a lot of people that are willing to advocate for the community. There's not a lot of people that are willing to put themselves down to allow somebody else to feel good about themselves. We have a lot. We have a lot of good things, but we also have things that I feel like are so little that we can fix, and it would be the biggest change.
I'm gonna go ahead.
I was gonna move on, but if you want to add on something, you can go ahead and add on something. But I was going to say, first and foremost, that people need to understand that these conversations are very important to have And I'm very happy that we are talking about this stuff, and you guys are even getting shout outs from different amounts of people coming in, and people mentioning that you guys are doing a great job. So I just want to throw that out there. But if you guys are ready to move on to the next question, I feel like marriage could be its own topic for its own day.
Yeah.
Because
I wish Aisha was here to talk about her.
Yeah,
story.
I wish she was too, but I mean, I'm in no way of contacting her right now, so I guess we're just gonna have to keep it rolling. So the next topic, obviously, is also another important one, and it's mental health issues. And we all know, it's kind of like a taboo kind of topic in a lot of communities, and especially in the Yemeni community. So I guess, what are your thoughts on family? And I think Moti hasn't started this one yet. Moti hasn't started the question yet. So I'm going to let Moti go first, and then Shayma, you'll go next. What are your thoughts on families who downplay mental health issues and diseases a family member may have, or someone close to them?
Yeah, I'm gonna no lie, man. How I was raised, how we were raised. If you had a mental, and I'm not talking about something from Allah. There's something from Allah is different. You were born with that. I'm talking about, let's say you were, you came onto some depression, or you're having a bad week or a bad month, or you were considered weak. And I believe that myself, no lie. I grew up, those that used to say I have anxiety or I have depression, I used to be like, they're weak. You know what I'm saying? Get out of that. You're a man. You're a woman. You got kids. You gotta hold down the house. You gotta, get up and go to work. Like, you're weak. But as I grew, I started to understand. That, it's real. I'm not gonna sit here and say, I've never been through it. I think I have, but always have that mentality. Like, I gotta get up for my kids. I gotta get up for myself. I gotta keep it pushing. So for those that had my mentality before, I think they're not fair. I think it's wrong. I think that it's okay to talk to somebody. If you are a person that somebody could talk to, offer yourself to somebody. You never know. You might could, change their life. You might could, save their life. But yeah, it's real. It's real.
Shayma, you want to touch on that now as well?
Yeah, I want to tell you guys how real it is, okay? First, let me back up. I have MS. MS is short for multiple sclerosis. And what that is it's an autoimmune disease where my body attacks its nerves, okay? So it's a big diagnosis. It works the same way as cancer, as Crohn's, as all of this. Cancer works with cells, MS works with nerves, lupus deals with muscles, and then so on and so forth. However, when you have a chronic, which means basically long or forever, when you have a chronic disease, the likelihood of, for example, 50% of the MS community falls under the roof of depression and anxiety. Okay? Now imagine, what MS does is, if I ask anybody, what's your biggest fear? Most of the time, I'll get like the fear of the unknown. Like I'm just terrified of like not knowing what's gonna happen. And with MS, that's literally the entire disease. You don't know. You don't know when your body is going to attack itself. You don't know how it's going to attack itself. You don't know how it's going to manifest itself. So for a girl that multiple times lost my eyesight, lost my ability to talk, lost my ability to walk, lost my ability to cognitively think correctly, when that happens to you, you truly understand the decrease of mental health. However, I want to also say that it's very hard for a person to say that they're suffering with a mental health. Our community looks at that, and that's a big eye, that you're not supposed to necessarily talk about that. And that's exactly why I told myself that I will never, ever, ever let anybody that I know or that my hands can reach go through a problem on their own. If I can help in any way, shape I can, I will absolutely do that. That's why I created my platforms and whatnot, to trailblaze, to show people your imperfections are what make you you, not your perfections. Because if you were completely perfect and I was completely perfect, what would be the difference? What would be the difference? Your flaws are what make you you. Your imperfections are the highlights of your life. Because seriously, if it's not a lesson, it's a blessing. So it literally falls under two categories.
Definitely, definitely, and I want to just quickly touch on before I pass it on to BG that when we hear about mental health issues, there are people out there that rather cope with it by doing things like drugs and alcohol and all that stuff rather than addressing it, and that's the downfall of it, and that's I guess the ripple effect of it, that if we don't talk about it, we address it through other means that probably are making it even worse.
Okay, let me just rebuttal on myself for a second. Okay, big one in our community. If a young man is using drugs, for example, okay, is the family gonna let their daughter-in-law know? No, they don't. I know a couple of people that have overdosed, and they use the most basic, or they use the most wrong thing to defend what actually happened. Oh, he was on Muhammad. Oh, he died in his sleep. Oh, he doesn't do that. He's actually in pharmacy school. Oh, this, oh, that. And it's just instead of actually helping the community get better, you're teaching our community how to lie better.
Yeah, definitely, and that could be a big problem. So BG, I'm gonna pass it on to you now, BG. What are your thoughts on families who downplay mental health issues and diseases?
I mean, before I start on the subject, I read Allah Shafish. Hopefully, inshallah, you're. I don't know if there's a cure for it, but hopefully there is. Another thing, I mean, mental health is a tough one also, but I mean, they've all touched on some of the points that I wanted to say, that families feel like it's aib, or that, they failed if their kid is going through something like this, or their son or their daughter. And then what you said, on the drugs part, a lot of these kids, they either get into depression by taking drugs and it causes them to be depressed, or they're already depressed and they fall, to drugs, or to kind of get out of it, or they think that's going to help them, or to escape the issue that they're going through. I see it. It's not just our community. It's it's the U.S. It might be the world in general. It's the times that we live in right now. It's not just drugs that you can buy on the streets. The biggest problem right now is the opioids and the prescription.
Hold on, fam.
The prescription. No shade.
No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
The prescription drugs are right now, I believe, is one of the biggest things that these younger kids are on, and it's causing them with these mental health issues. So if we sit as a community, we believe it's taboo, or we're not going to address it, next thing you know, we're going to have a next generation of grown people that are just gone, they're beyond help. And that scares me, honestly. And having children that are, coming up on their teenage years, it's very scary, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that's why we all can agree that it's important to talk to somebody that you can hopefully trust, and that's why it's also important for people to be that kind of person that someone can come up to you and talk to, because...
And you know what? Honestly, don't wait till someone to come up to you.
Right.
If you really see that someone is having issues, there's nothing wrong with going up to them and trying to help and trying to talk to them. What's the worst thing that can happen? They say no, but at least you lived your life knowing, I tried to help this person. I did the best I could. That's our problem, it's not my place. I mean, that's not right. This person is not thinking, for himself or for herself. So don't sit until it's, beyond controllable or beyond help. Don't wait till it's to that point. Try to help out. If you can't help out, talk to someone who could. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's funny that you're saying this, because when I got diagnosed with MS, I was by myself. Like I was by, I didn't know anybody that had the disease. I didn't know anybody that was even willing to help me out. And I didn't even know anybody that was going through similar hardships in a different channel that I could actually relate to. I had to do that for myself. And then when I finally was like I got it together, I don't even want a fraction of the population to feel what I felt doing it all by myself. Because that's the hardest thing. And the fact that you're saying go up to people, that's amazing. Because you don't hear that from people. You don't hear somebody saying, oh, if you see somebody having a bad day, go up to them and just say, hey, how are you? That's not what we were like basically told to do it, but there's growth. So I like the idea. I like the idea of like knowing that like our generation and the generation above us is like basically is like instilling that to go be that helping hand. Because I think that's very, very important ultimately for our life and then for the akhirah, of course, but more so our rent for this world is to service other people, is to help other people in the best way that you can. So مثلا me, I know I have a very strong voice. I know that I can reach people just by you know doing my thing. And then I know that, for example, my brother's a big CrossFit guy. Like he exercises, he's like big on it. So he took that little hadith, al-mu'min al-qawi, and he literally used that to project his good intentions. So the fact that we're starting to build this type of like this network does show me that our generations that are coming above will have a better outlook through mental health.
Definitely, and just want to quickly touch on something. Right now, I just checked the polls of future presidents, and right now, BG is leading. There's a lot of people in favor of BG. I just want to throw that out there. That
I'm not into politics. I'm sorry.
All right, well, Jamal J just brought up a great point. Shout out to JJ, owner of Delight Cafe. Said, hello, when it comes to mental health illnesses, our community have no knowledge about educating our kids. It's always I to bring these type of topics around the community. That's why a lot of young people are going through it. So yes, JJ, we definitely agree with you. The panel definitely agrees. And then we got a bunch of people commenting on Instagram as well. I can't even scroll through all the comments, but you know, we got KMK and my sister and a bunch of people agreeing with what we're saying. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't want to go through the comments. There's just a lot of them. I'm not going to do that. But shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for commenting and sharing your thoughts as well. I'm sure you guys have conversations going on Instagram as well. And I'm going to now move on to the next question. We're going to go back to the original order now. I think I started off with you, Shayma. And the question is, what are your thoughts on families who require, now we're about to talk about work and school at the same time. So what are your thoughts on families who require their kids to work full-time while going to school? I guess, is it fair for the kid? Maybe is the more better of a question.
Okay, so I come from a family that my mom and my dad's school was number one. And that goes on saying the whole generation thing, because depending on the generations, it depends on how much school means to a person. I come from a family where my parents actually said, you're not allowed to work. You're not allowed to work. You have to complete your education, which, and it's a blessing, you know what I mean? I'm glad that my parents are like pushing me to get a degree, but at the same time, I feel like when people work at a young age, it develops character. It develops discipline. It develops this sense of identity to what you like and what you don't like for a sense. And so I look at my family and I'm like, alhamdulillah, because I'm able to do basically whatever I want. You know what I mean? If I want to work, I can work. If I want to go to school, I can go to school. If I want to drop out from the nursing program and become an astronaut, I could do that. You know what I mean? Alhamdulillah, because my family values education very, very high. My whole life, though, I base it off of the principles of Islam, right? So whenever I do have, and I mean, they happen, whenever you have that back and forth with your parents, how I always like to look about it is, how can I say something Islamic that won't offend, that will get my point across? And 99% of the time, it's, you say it through an Islamic way. You just say it through like, okay, like, you know, Islamically, there's a hadith that says this, and it narrates that we're not supposed to be this. So I think families are starting to be able to communicate better, which is amazing. I remember, like, when I was growing up, I wasn't able to tell my mom things. And I look at my, like, this generation now and how open and able they are talking to their parents. Their parents actually want them to develop this sense of trust. Something that I was taught how to lie really, really good. That's how I was taught. But now, this generation, they're like, you can tell your parents something and they're not gonna, like, freak out, you know? Like, basically I look at my parents now and I say, yes, they have this, but now I also know what I don't want to give my kids as well. You know what I mean? So I think family is very, very important, but we need to work on, like, developing this communication, because a lot of people are scared. A lot of people are scared when they don't really have to be.
Yeah, for sure. Motiz, I'm gonna move on to you now, Moti. Same question. What are your thoughts on families who require their kids to work full time while going to school?
I totally disagree with it. If your family is fortunate enough to allow you to go to school and not work, then do it. But then again, don't waste your your family's money. If you gotta go to school, be 100% committed to school. If you want to work, I think your family should support you in working. Shayma brought up a great point about work. Work teaches you discipline, and it gives you character. Because eventually you're gonna, you gotta graduate and you gotta, find a job, and you gotta do that for about 30, 40 years of your life. But like I said, a lot of families are not fortunate enough to, tell their kids to, go ahead and go to school and I take care of everything else. I don't think kids should, demand that from their parents. Some people are not, financially stable where they could do that. But, but then again, I know good stories of kids that, did both. I know stories of kids that were actually married and went to school and worked. So, I disagree with it. Inshallah, I won't, do that for my kids. I always have the saying that I think all fathers should set their kids up by, 1, getting them married, and 2, paying for their school. I think all fathers should have that goal for their kids.
All right, there you go. Moti threw out some goals for the fathers out there, so just throwing that out there. BG, what's going on?
Sam's not watching.
Yeah, BG just said he hopes Sam's not watching. That's his son Sam, by the way. BG sent back like, man, where was these parents at when you was going to school? That's the kind of look you just gave us, BG. Is that true?
No, honestly, like my dad, alhamdulillah, he's always advocated for school. Like, ever since I was a kid, college was not an option. You know what I mean? It's like, it was a foregone conclusion. Like, he came to America at an early age, at like 14 or 15, and he didn't have the chance to go to school. My grandfather kind of like, you got to start working. This was like early 70s. You got to start working, and he worked all his life. So he's like, listen, I'm not going to put you guys through that. It's your choice, all right? That, alhamdulillah, I was able, to go to school and not have to work full time because, my family didn't need it. But we need to understand that there's families that really need that also. They need the help from the kids, which nothing is wrong. You know what? You might have been dealt a hand, a difficult hand, but don't make that discourage you. You just got to work a little bit harder. Now, if the parents are able to provide for the kid and they're forcing him to work full time, I don't agree with that. Another thing is, if the parents are forcing him to work instead of going to school, I totally disagree with that. But, if it's a situation where the parents are not capable of providing, for the family and allowing the kid or the son or daughter to go to school without having to work, there's nothing wrong with buckling up and helping out your family. It's only going to make you stronger. It's going to help you build a better work ethic, which is going to help you later in life. It's gonna help, discipline. It builds character. You're gonna then when you finish school and you get the job that's easy and you're able to provide, you're just gonna be, it's gonna be more satisfaction. So, forcing work over school, I totally disagree. But if you're in a circumstance where your parents are trying as hard as they can and they're still not able to, to have you solely just focus on school, buckle up, be a man, grow some. There's nothing wrong with it.
Or a woman.
Or a woman. Yeah, and I should have been reading the Instagram comments because they're lit right now, man. I don't know where to start, but I don't know if I should just read them off or just keep it flowing right now because there's some good conversations happening right now on Instagram where there's some back and forth dialogue happening. But I guess we're gonna just keep it going, and then hopefully they could keep their conversations going as well. You guys are doing a great job. Like I said before, and I'm gonna say it again right now while we're in the middle, almost towards the back end of the show. These are conversations that are very important to have. And, BG and I were talking about this before we went live. This is important stuff to talk about, and we need to break these barriers and stop hiding behind the curtains and actually talking about this kind of stuff. And there's ways of doing it. There's ways of doing it professionally and making sure that we don't say anything that we are going to regret or disrespect anybody. And that's exactly what you guys are doing and lady is doing. So I appreciate this conversation. I just want to make sure I pointed that out. So now moving on to the next question, and this is one that to me, I tried to not show too much emotion, but this one right here kind of bothers me because it's ones that I have witnessed firsthand. I mean, a lot of them bother me, but this one does. And it's our thoughts on families that tell their children what they should major in while they attend college. I guess, what are your thoughts on parents that tell their kids, hey, this is what you should do, and more so or not, it's becoming a doctor or becoming an engineer or something in that kind of field? Like, what are your thoughts on parents telling their kids that, BG?
I'm glad you started with me because a parent that's doing that, I believe, is very uneducated. Because any educated person would know that you're setting your kid or your son or daughter up for failure. Because if the son or daughter is not motivated, if they're not, if not something that they enjoy, they're not going to be successful. They're going to dread school, they're going to dread the classwork, which will probably eventually cause them to drop out or fail. Or if they do, complete it, then they're not going to be happy, at the end of the day. So being happy, being motivated, and enjoying what you do is 90% of it, I believe, because motivation is the number one factor. If I'm not motivated to, study, to do my work, to be engaged, you're not going to get it done. So that, I think it's 100% wrong.
Moti, I'm going to let you go, then I'm going to pass it on to Shayma. Moti, so what are your thoughts on parents not allowing, telling their kids about what they should major in when it comes to college or university?
For me, it's dictator or nothing. I always laugh about, like BG said, some parents are uneducated because anybody that works at a hospital is a doctor. Man, I disagree with that. Even though nowadays people go into majors that they don't end up working at when they graduate, which sucks. Because they got all these loans and stuff that they have to pay off. But the purpose of going to school is to major in something that, one, you enjoy, and second, that you get to work, want to work it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to be there for a long time. But yeah, I disagree with that. Trust me, I think all parents could agree with this. They want their kids to be a doctor, a lawyer, pharmacist, those are like the major out of, or engineer, what I'm saying? Those are like the major out of things that their parents want you to go into. But yeah, I disagree with that, man. I just think kids need to, go into a major that they're gonna enjoy, and is gonna make them happy.
Definitely. Now, Shayma, I'm gonna go ahead and dish it to you.
I don't think think it's uneducated. I think it's ignorance. I think that our family won't, or excuse me, not our family, but I feel like people will not even try to look at the other side of it. You know what I mean? And like BG said, or Muhammad said, it's either doctor or nothing. For me, it's like you're either a doctor or an engineer for a guy. And for a girl, you're either a teacher or a nurse. Anything else is wrong. Even if I, as a girl, would try to do more of a manly field, like if I was into engineering, which I suck at in math, so thank God I didn't. But if I did that, it would be not necessarily a bad thing, but it would be kind of like a weird thing. Not as normal as it would be if you see a female Yemeni being a teacher or a nurse, right? But I like how you said, Muhammad, how you said basically your parents, when you work at a hospital, it's a doctor. No matter what you do. You could be a radiologist tech, and they're still considering you a doctor. I think that is a perfect opportunity to teach. So instead of a person staying in ignorance, you can teach them that there is a lot of money, there is a lot of gratification, there is a lot of happiness other than being a doctor or being an engineer or a teacher or whatnot. Because, for example, I'll put myself in this situation. I got accepted into med school. You know what I mean? I got accepted basically to every single college that I ever wanted to go to. My family basically told me I wasn't allowed to travel, so I had to do with what I had to do. You know what I mean? But I looked at myself and I was like, why do I want to be a nurse over a doctor? I necessarily don't want to be in charge of somebody's care. I want to help them through their care. I want to actually be there for them. I want them to look at me and feel that nurturing role. So for me, I like this idea of expansion when it comes to the work field, because you have to get creative. Another big field that a lot of people were dying of, Arabs were loving it, is if your kid was a pharmacist. Now, 2021, it is declared pharmacy is a dying career field. So if my parents pushed me to do pharmacy, and now I have to drive either about 2 hours to make decent pay, or I'm working in the area, but I'm getting paid as if I did something else, there's an option of growth. You can explain why you don't want to be the person that is basically doing what the status norm does. You have that power. You can be that trailblazer. You can, especially because how BG was saying, if you have that motivation, that's it. 2019, I had 19 surgeries. 19 surgeries. Think about that. I had surgeries that were crazy, and then I had small procedures. But the one thing that I was so motivated to hold on to was my education. I remember I tore my rotator cuff, and I'm walking into class, and my backpack is I'm 4'11", so my backpack was literally the size of me, and I'm carrying it like this, and my teacher was like, why didn't you just drop the class? It's okay, you could take it next semester. And I'm like, no, I'm going to show you guys how I could do it and then some. You know what I mean? So I think when it comes to jobs and stuff, you have to be the person to advocate. You have to put your fear aside and advocate for the best thing for yourself. You have to. That's the only way that you can master it. And I tell people this, and I like to use it with when I used to teach, but basically I tell my students all the time, it just takes 15 seconds of bravery for you to initiate something that you want. 15 seconds. You can hold your breath longer.
Awesome conversations. Thank you guys for sharing those. I appreciate it. Like I said, great comments on Instagram, and people are sharing their thoughts as well. So we're going to keep the ball rolling. And this is the last question before you guys can say your final words. So Moti, I'm going to let you start on this one. The question is, basically to kind of wrap up everything, is do you believe our communities and families' viewpoints on these topics overall need to change? If it's no, explain why, and if yes, how do you believe that change will happen? So I'm assuming you guys are all going to say yes for majority of the conversation. So I guess, how do you believe that change will happen, or how can it happen?
Well, I believe the change will happen with us. Who would, 10, 15 years ago, You know, who would have said we'd be on this panel right now, you know, discussing these topics. So times has changed, and we're gonna continue doing it. I'm gonna definitely do it myself. We've come a long way. You know, I grew up in Hamtramck, where my mom was like the only female driver in Hamtramck. You know, so you know. Hey, hold on, fam. Hold on.
Moti's about to hit him with those lines, the fatherly lines right there. There you go.
Now we good. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, man. You know, we come, you know, from Hamtramck, where my mom was like the only female driver. Look at it now. Everybody's, you know, a lot of female drivers out there. You know, my sisters are, you know, went to school. We went to school. Like, everything is changing nowadays, man. You know, and it's gonna keep changing, inshallah. And I have a lot of faith in us. You know what I'm saying? As this generation, as it grows, I have a lot of faith. Inshallah, our kids are better than us. You know, in my opinion, they will be. You know, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just keep it pushing.
All right, Shayma, I'm gonna move on to you next, and I'm gonna close it out with BG. I just want to let you know you're muted, Shayma. Shayma, you're muted right now.
All right. I think absolutely. I think our community extraordinary amount of growth. However, I do want to mention that the only way that we can continue to grow is if we have an open discussion where people are not so closed-minded, where we can actually have conversation, number one, and number two, proper communication. Because a lot of people like to hear you, they don't listen to you. And that's what I think we need to do more of. We need to do more listening rather than hearing.
Definitely. And BG, you want to close it out, the question that is?
I believe it's going to change with education. I mean, if you look at it, you know, I graduated high school in 2000, and I believe my class had 5 people from our community that graduated college, compared to now, you know, 20 years later. And I believe it's probably, you know, you're having maybe 50 to 60 kids from every high school in the area. You know, Yemeni kids that are going to college and graduating. And as our community gets more educated, you know, they also educate themselves Islamically.
Yeah.
You know, just everything that we learned from our parents or, you know, from back home. You know, they weren't even educated Islamically. There's things that I remember them doing as kids that you look at now and like, oh, you know, that wasn't correct. So as people are getting more educated, you know, whether college, Islam, whatever, our community is growing and, you know, for the better. And inshallah, you know, our kids, we can teach our kids to keep it going, you know, and keep their values, Islamic values, cultural values, but, you know, be better people in general.
All right. And those are all the questions that I have. Is any final words? Does anybody want to add on any final thing that I maybe didn't touch on or anything that I didn't mention? Shayma, I'm going to let you go first. Is there something that you want to mention as well?
Yeah, I want to say that I've been talking a lot about this element of fear. And I only want to say... I want to say that basically when I look at myself and basically all the things that I went through and how I'm like resilient now, I say how did this happen? I physically got the real fear. Like when you lose your eyesight, that's scary. You know, when you lose the ability to talk, that's scary. When you lose the ability to move, that's scary. So when I look at somebody that's actually scared for something that I'm like, why? Do you want to know what real scared is? You want to know what real fear is? So everybody needs to, and I understand everybody has their own different hardships. Everybody has their own test in life. But at the same time, there are people that are here ready to help. And then as long as you want. If you want that help, people will help you. Our community does that. Yemenis in general, we're very, very generous. So if I see somebody that's in a situation that I know I can benefit them, oh, you best believe I will. You know what I mean? And I don't even know the cast, like this group as much, but I can almost sniff that I know each and every one of you guys would do the same thing too. Because it's who we are. It's who we are. So instead of looking at necessarily the things that make our community or make our culture wrong, how about we start highlighting the right that we did? How about we start showing the actual brotherhood and sisterhood that we have? Because we do. We do. I don't know another country that respects women more than Yemen. I don't know another country that will give the ihtaram to a man better than a Yemen. So our culture has these very, very strong, beautiful, beautiful things that I feel like we're so ready to look at the wrong when all we really need to do is focus on the good, and the good will keep going and going and going and going.
Thank you. Thank you, Shayma. Those are some great closing statements. Moti, did you want to add on anything else?
No, this was a great conversation, and like I said, I appreciate you having me with great representation with Shayma and BG. Yeah, man, let's just continue moving forward. Like, you know, Shayma said a lot of great things today, BG also, and you know, I like to learn. Every time I wake up, I always tell myself, learn something new today, and I did, you know what I'm saying, learn something today. Yeah, man, let's just keep it moving, man. Let's just, you know, say make each other proud and, you know, keep pushing this agenda.
Definitely, and I was about to dish it to BG, but it looks like that he is having some technical issues, so he is off right now. Well, thank you, Shayma, thank you, Moti, and thank you, BG, when you do end up listening to this. Great conversations. This is how we keep the ball rolling, like Moti said, keep it pushing. And hopefully we can continue to do this. For those that are watching, thank you for tuning in and commenting. And feel free to message us any other topic ideas. We can hopefully try to come up with a panel. If you guys know people that would want to talk about this stuff, I'll be more than happy to hold it. Feel free to reach out to us, message us, and we will definitely make it happen. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's Omar T from MotivateMe313. The rest of you guys, however you guys have a great rest of your days. And I'll see you guys around.
Thank you, Ahmad.
You're welcome. Have a great one.